Hey everybody, Brian Good here. Welcome to Snow Talk. I apologize again for yesterday's audio. I didn't even know there was really an issue until I was already out of the building. So I apologize for that. Hopefully it's working today and you can hear me just fine. I'm going to focus. I know sometimes I get carried away on covering so many things at once and I run out of time. I'm going to go strictly into the setup for next week and try to explain the best that I can the items that we are looking at and the questions that still remain, and there are quite a few. First off, on the snowboard, as always, we start off with that. Whether there's anything on it or not, Snow Talk is just about the place to go to see if there's anything to talk about. And there are a couple of items, obviously. We got system coming in for next week, perhaps more than one, and then heading toward Valentine's. Notice what's missing is the one for the weekend, this weekend. And that's because the system is trending faster. It is trending warmer. Doesn't mean we can't get snow out of it Saturday night and early Sunday, but I think at this point, if you live from North Vernon to Madison to Eminence, that angle, that line in northeast, that would be the general spot most likely to see anything to be wintry in nature. But really, guys, this is not looking impressive. And this is the difference it can make when you get a system on shore and it gets sampled like this. You start to see that consensus. But it was an odd track to begin with. A system rippling in a zonal flow, very odd for it to initially show it being strong. That's why we were leaning toward the idea of it being an idea where the warmer air eventually will win out and not just flat out all snow or anything like that. All right, so let's move on because I'm already starting to ramble. Here we go for next week. This is a look. If you are new to seeing this, to kind of explain a little bit, these are the ensembles. These are operational models. This is the GFS, and there is its ensemble. Ensembles, again, just kind of take the data that's presented and kind of present an overall view, a smoothed out idea, if you will, of chaos that the operational models can sometimes have. Operational models can react to certain elements based on their formula, and they can really wildly swing, especially far out in long range forecasts. So they're not as reliable, but they are still something to look at, because if you see the two of these agree, if the operational model and its own ensemble agree, then that should raise confidence, at least in that model's idea of what it thinks is going to happen. If they don't agree at all, it's going to be tough to entrust certainly the operational and just go with the ensemble only. I hope that makes sense. GFS, here's the Euro and its buddy, and here's the Canadian and its buddy. Now you will see these, the Canadian and Euro, the panels will begin to disappear as we go further on time, because this particular site does not have model data going that far out, but you'll have it for at least the short term here. All right, so this is going to be Monday night. This white line is your general rain snow line. If you look carefully, this is going to be Louisville right in here. It's hard to see it in each one of these. Kentucky is right there, and that green, if you will. So here comes the system. It's dropping in. Really good agreement on the operational models and the ensembles. When you see these lines close together coming from Texas or the Gulf of Mexico, that's a warm south wind, and a strong wind at that. Notice the ensembles show that. Operational show that. There's some subtle differences, but nothing major. Here's the lead low that's coming off the Rockies. Now there's some disagreement on exactly where it comes off the Rockies, and maybe some slight changes in the speed, but at least the ensemble smooth out that idea a little better. Then we get into Tuesday. Here comes the main low rolling out. Notice GFS operational wraps it up fast, strong low as we head into the Great Lakes. Euro a little more to the south, but also it's not as cold as a result. The rain snow line a little disjointed from the low versus it's right up on it. And in fact, even south of the low on the GFS. The Canadian has already got it wrapped up and already moving into the northeast part of the country. It's way fast, but there's two pieces. There's another piece here. See it showing up, diving down behind it. This is the piece that even the ensembles are seeing, but here's the issue. If you've got the lead low, the parent low being really dominant and strong, chances are anything that rolls out within, say, 24 hours of the main low is going to be weak. It's not going to have a lot of moisture to work with. It's going to be weak and fast moving. And that's where I think the models are struggling. Initially, there was a stronger low, but even there was a bit of a gap between the two, and the more the gap there is, the better chance you can get something wintry out of it. But either way, the lead lows we got to watch for, and the reason why it's ramping up is that a blocking pattern is developing. These low pressures are rolling out, and then all of a sudden they're trying to get to the Atlantic, and they can't. They see a wall. And when you go against the flow, it's like a bunch of train cars behind you collide into you when you hit the brakes. When you go against the grain like that, you become a stronger system, and it wraps up. And that's what the models are picking up on, that idea of a blocking setup. I also have seen where these little secondary pieces of energy like this, they may not become anything significant as far as precipitation, but they can round the base of the trough, sneak in behind the cold front, and really just carve things out. I mean, they just really enhance the amount of drop that cold air can have in the eastern seaboard. Here are the indices. I'm not going to be able to explain all these, but what I want you to notice is the NAO. This is the sign of the blocking. It's hard to tell by this image, but they all go negative next week. That is the sign of blocking, and sharply negative in some cases. This is negative, indicating cold air is going to be on the move. PNA is going positive, a sign that there's going to be a trough digging in the eastern part of the country. So all indices still line up for a classic East Coast trough. So what then happens? We will likely have some showers and thunderstorms with that lead low. Are they going to be severe or not? I don't know that yet. Is it possible? Of course it is. Absolutely it is. But I don't know that answer yet. We need another couple days to decide that. But when you look at Wednesday, when the colder air rushes in, this is where you start to see some big changes. Ural's really wrapped up the eastern seaboard. GFS somewhat, but it tries to bring out, the GFS does, that secondary low. It's trying to figure out what to do with it. But in general, the ensembles at least show the cold air arriving on Wednesday, and then as we into Thursday, we're fully entrenched into it. But look what happens once we head down the road here. We're going to get a very odd shape to the jet stream. You're going to have a trough that's going to try to dig in the northwest part of the country. So you got a troughiness, huge ridge, and then a big trough again in the east. And that means the warm air in the plains is really going to battle. It's going to try to battle out any cold air we got in our area. And that can lead to some interesting events, but more so clippers than anything is the way it's looking for now. So, guys, it's a complicated setup. It looks like it's going to be warm, windy, thunderstorm potential Monday and Tuesday. We will likely turn cold on Wednesday into Thursday. How much snow we get when that cold air rushes in, I don't know that yet. It depends if we're dealing just one wave of moisture. We tend to dry out rapidly in that kind of a deal. But if that secondary wave, it's going to help carve things out. If that secondary wave has enough moisture with it, it could give us a light snow event on Thursday. So, stay tuned.